All right, so Alabama escapes, and I mean literally escapes a team they should have blown out. But I guess a win's a win.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, HSA's radio network. Luke Robinson, that's me. Bama Online's Jimmy Stein is normally him, but he's not going to be here today. I should be joined by my good pal, Michael Southern, who is at a Buffalo Wild Wings. If you can't go to North Dakota, go to Buffalo Wild Wings, right? Watching the game, but he's on his way back. And, I mean, look, I'm not going to go live after every basketball game because it's just not going to be convenient, I don't think, for me or y'all. But I'll tell you this. After that one, I had to get up out of bed, as you can tell, and had to come talk about this because, my gosh, that was unpretty. And, you know, I went on radio today on Doug Amos's show in Montgomery, and I was very confident that this team was going to look strong. I thought that everybody would come out sort of guns a-blazing, and it wasn't that way at all. I mean, North Dakota had the lead at that. This isn't a good team, by the way. I mean, there are sometimes you go play a North Dakota, South Dakota State, something like that, you know, Illinois Wesleyan or whatever, and those teams are sneaky good. You just don't know it because you never hear about them. This team isn't one of those. This was this was a bad team, and we came out and really just kind of stunk it up. It's unfortunate for a lot of reasons. I think that we're gonna, you know, you'll hear some people say, "Hey, we probably didn't need to be playing this game in North Dakota," and that's true. We didn't have to do that. I think we sort of did it as an homage to Grant Nelson. I hope next time we want to do an homage to Grant Nelson, you know, everybody wears a fake mustache or something. Let's not go to North Dakota. You know, it's not necessarily an excuse. It probably is. This team may be a little tired. They may not should be. I know there's some people like, well, it's been a long time since they've actually played a game. True. But I can see this team, you know, they've been in a lot of fist fights, this team has. So I can see they're being a little tired. Still, we out-talent this team. We out-depth this team. We're just overall better than this squad. And frankly, we should have blown them out from start to finish. And I could even live with the fact that we were down at halftime. I could live with that because we weren't shooting well, and you could tell mentally we weren't checked in. But it's when we got that 11-point lead and then they come back to tie it that worries me to death. That is very, very scary because that should have been the time when Alabama clearly goes on ahead and does its thing. That should have been the time where this game was over. And instead, we allowed this squad, who's not as good as we are, really behind one man. This kid that scored 40 points. I mean, you know, he sort of did a reverse Colin Sexton on us. It was like, you know, Eagle staff didn't have a lot of help. Yeah, some other dudes played okay at times, and some other dudes hit a three here or there, maybe even got a rebound or two. But it was Eagle staff that did everything, and we just can't guard him. I mean, we can't. The SEC's going to have a lot better players than he is. And I don't mean that is any shot at this kid who absolutely went off. And I mean, I salute you, Eagle staff. You played your tail off. But the SEC's got a lot better players than him, in my opinion. He is a fantastic shooter, and sometimes you catch somebody on their night, and maybe that's what we did. And he is the leading scorer in their conference, whichever conference it is. I'm not going to pretend like I keep up with North Dakota, especially when they're 4-9. Yeah, I said that right. They're 4-9. But I want to look over some of the stats very quickly. Darian Reed, 5 points, 1 rebound. Got to get more out of him. No assists, no blocks. Actually, he does have an assist. I see that now. Grant Nelson, 0 of 4 from beyond the arc. And now maybe his shot looks like this every time, but his shot looked wonkier than ever tonight, where he sort of comes all the way back over his head and almost like scrapes his hairline to shoot it. It looked a little different tonight. But maybe I'm just seeing things. I'll tell you what, I tweeted this. If the CBS Sports Network or whatever channel this thing was on, if they had lit that cord up anymore, Grant Nelson was going to be invisible. He was going to be very hard to see. The lights were so bright that it was very difficult to see Grant Nelson to begin with, because he's not the tannest dude in the world. So as I'm getting some of these comments, and again, I'm hoping to be joined by Michael Southern, who is a world-renowned Alabama basketball fan, and I've had him on the program in the past, and you guys know him. I saw him out at the Final Four last year. Knows his stuff, and he should be here before too long. But boy, I mean, some of the starters. I mean, Cliff Amore, no shots. He didn't take a shot tonight. 1 of 2 from the stripe. He had 5 rebounds. Okay, the minutes aren't listed yet, so. But boy, that's not great, right? Jaron Stevenson, he hit the only points he had was the first 3 coming out of the half. And yeah, that was helpful. Sure. I mean, we win 97-90. That we need all the points we can get. But I guess I'm going to stay a little more negative as I round down this first half of the program, because I do want to talk about LeBaron Philon, who just thank you, Lord, for LeBaron Philon, who is just awesome. He can play defense on anybody on the court. He's got a I'm him mentality. And I'll talk about him in a minute, because I do want to keep this going down with some of the bad stuff I saw. Aiden Holloway, only 1 of 3. Every one of them was a 3-point attempt. Got to get more out of him. Got to. Aiden Sherrill, I barely noticed him on the court, except he got a 3-second call, I believe, and I hadn't seen a 3-second call since junior high. So I thought that was a little odd. Mohamed Diabute didn't play great tonight. 3 of 4 from the stripe, didn't even get a shot off. He had 5 rebounds. I don't know how many minutes he played. And I say he didn't play great. That may not be fair. He may not have gotten as much of an opportunity as he needed to. I mean, he needed to be out there more, at least tonight, than Jaron Stevenson, or maybe even Clifford Amore, who they just didn't seem to be mentally vested into the game tonight for whatever reason. It just wasn't clicking. Now, again, I'm willing to give a pass to some of the guys, because it's a long trip out to North Dakota, and you're playing it's freezing cold. You're in this environment you don't ever get to see. You're in a gym that you probably played in front of more people in high school. And so it's just a little weird. So I'm not trying to give him an excuse. I'm saying, okay, I can understand. But boy, some things are going to have to turn around for this team to reach the potential that we all think that they have, which is national championship aspirations. I believe they should have those. But if things don't get better, and I mean get better in a hurry, that's not going to be even anything to consider. I really believe that. So going to go ahead and take a break here, and want to talk to Michael Southern. Hopefully he'll be joining us. But if he's not here by the time I get this second segment started, I am going to go ahead and talk about the transfer portal a little bit more, and then we'll go back to basketball. Hope that's okay with everybody. But right now I want to tell you about Rocket Money. This is a new sponsor we have. Love Rocket Money. Has Rocket Money helped you find these subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? I'm telling you, it's a magician at finding this stuff, because you can sign up for these things, and then the next thing you know, you're just paying for them forever, and you kind of forget about it. It's definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions I didn't even realize I was still paying for. And when you have 4 kids and you're traveling a lot, and you're like, either I'll get to it later, or you just forget about it. Rocket Money makes it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills, so you can grow savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions. Good grief. Saving members up to $750 a year. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon today, and you will see what we're talking about over there, and you're going to love it. The other thing I want to tell you about, and I mean, like you guys know how much I care about this next sponsor, and that's Gametime. Gametime's absolute best. I had a buddy who went to the North Dakota game. He and his wife went out there. They sent me pictures. Very cool. I wish I could have gone. If it wasn't on a Wednesday, I would have gone. I have no other reason to go to North Dakota probably. But loved his sending me some pictures, and Gametime is where he got his tickets. At least I'm going to pretend like that's where he got his tickets. And Gametime is the absolute best. Use code LOCKEDON for $20 off that first purchase. If you want to go check out the Alabama bowl game, or you want to go check out any bowl game, or you want to check out Alabama basketball, whatever, go get it on Gametime, because I've checked it out. All these things on Gametime. Best prices guaranteed. You can see where you're going to sit. You will absolutely love it. Go check out Gametime today. And you can then, tell me how much you appreciate my telling you about it later on. All right. I got Michael Southern with me now. And as soon as I can figure out how to add us both to this thing, Michael, it's going to be a thing, man. We're going to get it going. He doesn't even know. I don't even know if he can hear me right. Yeah, he can. There he is. Michael Southern. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Luke. How you doing?
Doing good. It's not Jimmy Stein. We've had this joke before, but for those who are new to it, it is not Asian Jimmy Stein. We do this every time. It's never not going to be funny. And but Michael, I was talking about this game, and a win's a win. A win on the road is a win on the road. But we need to aspire higher at this point. I thought that there were some pretty key components to the squad that looked like they just weren't mentally involved tonight. And thank the good Lord above for LeBaron Philon.
So very, very, very disappointing first half. You would at least thought, shooting comes and goes. So I wasn't too worried about the shooting, but the turnovers, I don't know. They just seemed not into the game. So 13 turnovers in the first half. That was just, I don't know. And some of the defensive lapses as well, too. Now, look, Eagle staff had a career night. Seems like that always happens against Alabama, whether it be in football and basketball. So that comes and goes. But again, the inconsistency as far as your defense is concerned, as far as, valuing possessions. I mean, that's the thing that always frustrates the most out of me. I think we talked about this last year in front of the SEC tournament. Remember, I always looked at the most important thing were the live ball turnovers. Stop turning the ball over. When Alabama didn't turn the ball over, they were very successful. Those 13 turnovers in the first half. I mean, and some of them were just, it's nothing that North Dakota was doing to cause them. It was just bad passes. They were just very, very careless. That's what's so frustrating. Again, you see the glimpses of the good, but then you also see, I don't know, the inconsistency. I don't want to blame it on youth. You're gonna enter SEC play here in a couple of games. I know Coach Oates had talked about he wants to start tightening the lineup. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't quite sure about what that starting lineup was tonight. So that was a little surprising with the lineup that went out there. So you had one ball handler, one consistent shooter, and I guess a three playing the two, and then three bigs. So I wasn't quite sure about that lineup either. Again, maybe he thought he had a good opportunity to experiment. So still a lot of questions with this team. The ceiling is still there, but
Agreed.
yeah. The other parts, that's what frustrates everybody.
There's no doubt. And look, I will give some credit where credit's due. I think we had 13 turnovers at the half, and we ended up with only 14 total.
That's right. Now they improved greatly. Obviously, I don't know what coach told them at halftime, but it worked. So they at least valued the ball much better in the second half. Free throw shooting comes and goes too. So that's a little frustrating as well.
Yeah, the free throw shooting, pulling it up really quickly. 20 of 30. That's just got to be better. And, Mark Sears even missed a crucial one there. He ends up being 6 of 8, and that looks good. But it was when he missed one of those that would have taken it to a 2-score game that bothered me so much. And look, I want to go back to I'd really sort of talked about a lot of the negatives in the first segment, but I'm going to say this: Houston Mallett, he's coming in, and I'm loving this guy. I'm loving this guy. His one play, his hustle play where he saves the ball underneath the basket, saves it, and then he gets it right back on a pass and buries a three. This guy he's got an it factor about him. It's not an it factor like Michael Jordan it factor, but it's like, hey, when I'm out there, I can be it. I just don't have to. I can't be out there as much,
So I was still impressed. I'm like you. I'm impressed with what the minutes we see from Houston Mallett. I think he's definitely earning more and more playing time. He hit a couple of nice shots, and his hustle. He had some key rebounds. Again, remember though, you're talking about a veteran player. So again, we joke about, hey, they were just at North Dakota. You're still in a hostile environment. You flew up there. You're worried about a winter storm. You're cold. There's so many outside distractions. And again, he's a veteran player, and I think he's definitely somebody that you can rely on when you need something. Because again, he's been around the block. So he's not a freshman. He knows what to do. Again, I don't think you're going to have any issues with Houston Mallett. I'm very curious to see how much playing time he actually gets when SEC play starts. Same thing with Chris Youngblood. So those are two veterans right there. You've got to get them, I guess, for Chris, get the rust knocked off and get him into the lineup and get him some consistent playing time, because Chris came in as a 41, 42% three-point shooter. So the only way he's going to get back into that, he's got to get playing time. He's got to get shots. So you've got 2 more games before you have Oklahoma. So you need to get him more repetition. You need to get him in there, and you got to let him just get comfortable with everybody and the teammates.
Yeah, and it should go said that Grant Nelson did have, I don't know, I'm trying to think if he's had a better game this year. I mean, 23 and 10 in front of the home crowd, huge rebounds late, both offensively and defensively. Yeah, he was over 4 from beyond the arc. I've seen him have better games. I'm just not sure I've seen him have a better all-around game this year.
Well, I always feel like Grant's at his best when he's attacking the rim, because he has a good game around the rim. I'm not going to bang on him for taking a lot of threes too as well. I know that's part of the offense, but when he's focused on trying to attack the rim, you can see what you get. Remember the North Carolina game? I mean, his points came from attacking the rim. That's what he was doing tonight. I still find it, I guess now that since Alabama won, I can say it's funny that even on the road in his home state, he gets the worst calls against him. Some of those rebounding fouls, I was just like shaking my head like, they really called that? So again, He continues to get the worst calls ever against him. But the Grant Nelson who attacks the rim, the only part of the game when he attacks the rim that still I'd love to see, I want him to get those and ones. Make the layup and get the foul. Either he makes the shot and they don't call the foul, or they call the foul and he misses the shot. But Grant Nelson, who is confident and attacks the rim, is what Alabama needs this year.
Yeah, I agree with you, and he does need to get tougher around the rim. Jimmy and I talked about that after the Creighton game. There was a play in the Creighton game where he goes up, it's almost like he's going to 2-hand lay it in, and he should have just hammered it home. Now tonight he had a couple of nice dunks, but we need to see him do that on some guys that are a little more physical. North Dakota is not super physical. All the comments coming in is kind of funny. They're all saying, like, what would it take to get Eagle staff on this team next year? I have no idea what year he is.
He's
I
a
have
junior.
no idea. Huh?
He's a junior. It's funny you say that. So I'm part of like most people, I'm part of a text group. So when there's a game going on, my phone's just buzzing, because we have about 7 or 8 older Alabama basketball fans my age or older that from the 70s, 80s, all that. And then people were saying the same thing. We've got to do whatever it takes to get Eagle staff to transfer to Alabama next year. I was joking and saying, dang, could he be the next Dalton Connect? So that was definitely making the rounds tonight on our group text when he was just going off shot after shot after shot. So yeah, great night by him though. Great night by him.
Let's call a spade a spade. I'm not, for all of our 3-point prowess, I'm not sure we've got a guy that can shoot it as well as he can. Now, our guys might be better defensively. They might be quicker. They might be taller. They might be more physical for SEC play. All those things are true. I'm just saying in terms of a shooter, would be the best shooter on this team if he were on it.
Well, so tonight, and I think I mentioned this on X too as well, but in that first half, this is where the team really misses Latrell Wrightsell. I mean, we've talked about, the biggest key for Luttrell is he is always consistent. And again, he either starts a run for Alabama or he ends the other team's run. And you just don't have that right now. And that is going to hurt. That you're going to see that pop up. I can see this already coming in several SEC games. You're not going to have the steadiness of Luttrell Reitzel. Now, that being said, that's when Houston Millett or Chris Youngblood, one of the two, or maybe both, if one of them or both of them can step up to try to fill that role, that's what you need from those two veteran guys right now, because you do not have that at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. All right. Stay with us, Mike, because what we're going to do, we're going to come back, maybe put a bow on this basketball game, but going to talk a little bit of transfer portal stuff. But I do want to tell everybody about the college football playoffs. Man, I'm so happy. I mean, we can't be in the playoffs, but I'm really thrilled that they at least sponsor the program now. I mean, what good people. It's that time of year. The college football playoff is back. And with newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement you love. TNT Sports coverage of the college football playoff begins December 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 10 o'clock Central, leading into our first matchup, the SMU Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions. Then the Clemson Tigers looked upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 3 o'clock Central. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the college football playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. And, that's what we're going to all be doing this weekend is watching those games. All right, so any final comments on the basketball game before I talk a little transfer portal?
Well, again, I know, just based on what I was seeing on social media, a lot of fans frustrated. I totally get that. Again, not what you wanted to see, and Alabama flirting with what would have been a devastating quad 4 loss. I mean, that would have just been disastrous had they lost that game. Even with that, they're going to drop in the net probably. Again, margin of victory plays into how the NCAA does the net ranking. So again, the best thing that the team can do, take this, appreciate that you survived, and learn from it. If you don't do that, then it's a wasted effort. You got 2 more games coming up. You talked about the college football playoffs. So the reason you're playing Kent State Sunday at noon is because, again, you wanted to avoid the college football playoffs because there was the hope that Alabama would be playing. But still, you're going to need to do something against Kent State. They're not a bad team. Okay, you're going to have them coming up. And then you're going to have South Dakota State. And then after that, it's game on. Oklahoma rolls into town on January 4th. So the window is shrinking for this team to stop making so many immature mistakes.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good way to put it. And by speaking of Oklahoma just hit a 3 as we're doing this podcast to tie the game with Michigan.
Michigan? Okay.
Yeah. So, that could be another big SEC win. The SEC got wins last night. Probably the worst. And I say this tongue-in-cheek kind of. The worst team in the SEC, I guess, technically is South Carolina, and they beat arguably the second best team in the ACC. Florida took care of North Carolina last night. I mean, it's the SEC is ridiculously good, and I think you put that very well. That what's happening is not that the Alabama needs to get better offensively necessarily, but the window is shrinking to be able to find. Let's not forget we had the kid at Harper at Rutgers put up 37 on us. Now we've had a dude put up 40 on us. I mean, we got to be able to stop a one-man band sometimes.
And Alabama's notorious for letting one player have those career nights against them. So you already said it. The strength of the SEC this year, I can't remember it being this strong. Not even maybe in the 80s when you had a bunch of great teams in the 80s. But what we see right now coming up, it's going to be a bloodbath. You go out there and you come out like you did tonight against any SEC team, Alabama's going to lose by 30, whether it's at home or on the road against some of these teams. So there is no night off in the SEC. It's going to be a gauntlet. It's going to be tough. Now, look, they've got the talent to win the league. But again, if they don't play the way they should, you're going to have some really bad nights. That's what's so frustrating. So, and again, I think the key for the team right now, you're going to have to settle on your starting lineup and your rotation, maybe not quite so deep, and you really need Chris Youngblood or Houston Millett or both to step forward. They're going to need to be some of that senior leadership, and they're going to have to be the consistent shot makers from the outside.
And by the way, it was the Oklahoma kid hit a 3-pointer and was fouled, made the free throw, Oklahoma wins 87-86.
Oh, wow.
Big comeback win for them and another big win for the SEC. So, I mean, boy, how embarrassing would it have been for Alabama to lose North Dakota on a night when Oklahoma comes back from being down double digits. I mean, that would have been bad. But one more point. You bring up Chris Youngblood and Houston Millett, and I believe that Youngblood's going to be the guy that can help take us further. But I want Millett to just if he continues just playing the way he does right now, I'll be thrilled to death. I think when he comes in there, it's instant offense, and his hustle is duly noted. He drew a charge tonight. And nobody gets charges anymore. You know, they've made it's hard to get. It used to be you give a charge all the time. And I hated that. But now they've almost gone too far the other way. And he drew what was a pretty obvious charge. Did want to bring up the transfer portal pickup. Alabama got this afternoon in Cameron Calhoun from Utah. He was initially at Michigan. Alabama's still going to continue to be active in the transfer portal, I believe. There's guys getting into it. I mean, this defensive end from Florida State just got in, and he automatically went to the number 2 player available after the Mateer kid from Washington State, the quarterback who just committed to and maybe signed with Oklahoma today. So Oklahoma picks up the best player in the transfer portal, but this kid at Florida State moved to number 2, and I don't know, maybe Alabama will give him a look. I don't know. We're going to have to get Jimmy on board to talk about that a little bit. So in closing here, Michael, first of all, thanks for joining us. Thanks for rushing home from Buffalo Wild Wings. And or were you at one of the knockoffs, like Buffalo Wings and Rings?
No.
Like okay, you were the real deal. Okay.
So what was funny was I just changed our cable subscription with Xfinity, so we had too many channels we weren't watching because we actually subscribed to all the streaming channels. And one of the channels that we lost was CBS Sports Network, which I never watched. And then a week later, I find out the Alabama game's on it. So me and a friend went and watched the game at Buffalo Wild Wings. One quick thing on the SEC I was thinking about, I want to mention again, and I want to pay credit. And this is what frustrates Alabama fans. They see the potential with the team and they know how good the team can be, but the inconsistency when they compare it to Auburn and to Tennessee, that's what drives them crazy. Because right now, when you watch Tennessee and Auburn, you see 2 teams where they're reaching their ceiling and the floor is high. The
floor is way up there.
Their floor is much higher. That's exactly
right. Point. Because nothing frustrating. If it were just Tennessee, I think it would be okay. But because it's Auburn and then you add in Tennessee, it makes it even that much more noticeable. I mean, right now, I have no problem saying this. I know I'm not really going out on a limb. Tennessee's 1, Auburn's 2 in the country. I think both those teams are head and shoulders above us right this minute. Doesn't mean we can't get there.
From a consistency level, night in, night out, absolutely they're ahead of Alabama. Does that mean when they play, Alabama can't beat them? No, doesn't mean that at all, because Alabama actually has the ceiling to do that, but they just haven't showed the consistency. So that they've got to work on that. Like we said, the clock's ticking. So the SEC schedule is going to start, and they need to be ready now.
All right, Michael, appreciate you chiming in, bro. Always love to talk Bama hoops. And if I do make it over there Sunday, I probably won't. I got to go pick up my kids in like Louisville or something. I got kids everywhere, man. So, but I will definitely be listening. I know you should probably be there, and we'll talk again soon, my friend.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, Luke.
All right, buddy. Until next time, everybody, roll tide.
Roll Tide.